We are back after like a month away. We decided to come back right around free agency. 2 days, not even officially done. I love that it's a tampering period, right? These deals aren't even done, but Shefty's out here reporting it all.
I mean, they're like the ink is halfway dry.
Why call it a tampering period? Why not just say free agency started 2 days ago or whatever? But
because technically they're not allowed to talk to the people; they're only allowed to talk to the agents.
Yeah, I know. Get rid of these stupid butt rules. Well, I guess that's a good rule. It ruins Lamar's life,
yourself,
right? He's the only guy who represents himself.
Who was who? I can't even remember who. The dude for Roquan Smith represents himself.
Yeah, look at that. Everyone goes to the Ravens when they represent themselves. Does that say something?
Yeah.
Anyways, Connor Lucas and me, Philip Call, we are here to let you know what's happening in free agency and our delightful takes on it. Actually, there's going to be some fire coming out because day one of free agency is always just overspending and wasting your money. So we're going to be grilling. How you doing, Connor?
48 hours of fun. It just started.
So why don't we start out then with the trades related to free agency at the wide receiver position. So first up, Diontae Johnson just happened today, traded to the Carolina Panthers, getting him away from Russell Wilson. I think it's a fantastic move because he does not match Russell Wilson's skill set. What do you think?
I mean, I don't really care about Russell Wilson that much. That guy's going to be a game manager at best. With Arthur Smith, who cares? But anyways, it's the best value that they could do, given that Pittsburgh has to pay a good chunk of it and has paid a chunk of Diontae Johnson's salary. They did a trade plus. It was like a defensive guy for an offensive guy and a pick swap. So it was a cheap, valuable deal and probably the only thing that they've done right and well in the last 10 years of free agency, because they don't have the cap space or the money to go out and give a T. Higgins a deal that should probably be T. Higgins. This is a low risk, high value move for them because it finally gives somebody that can separate. If you look at Diontae Johnson's metrics, he can separate. Now, he might drop the ball a dozen times a year that are wide open, but at a minimum, he at least gets open. And the Panthers ranked dead last in separation by a wide receiver core last year, and it was not good. And Bryce Young, more or less, if you're going to use him, I'm not saying this is the wrong way to do it, but I'm saying if you're going to use a timing, rollout, kind of run and shoot elite passer, you have to have guys that are open in big windows, more or less, because you can't see them otherwise. So you got to have guys that are separators. Now, he can thread the needle when he needs to, but he wasn't able to do that because they also had just that was a Trevor Lawrence year one with Urban Meyer, and it just was upsetting because he doesn't have a Doug Peterson coming in to save the day. He gets a brand new first year head coach. Now, all the things are positive about I can't remember, it's Bucks OC, about what is his name? It's not Slowick.
If only we had computers somewhere that could tell us these things.
It's not Slowick. Slowick's in Houston. But basically he's getting somebody that turned around Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith's career. So, super bright young head coach, but he gets to start over. This is the first move for them. So
yeah, I'm with you, dude. Dave Canales, official. His name is officially Dave Canales.
Dave
reports in.
Dave. Hey, Dave.
Good old Dave.
I forgot about
Been
Dave.
handing out a whole bunch. No,
Dave Canales,
I'm with you. Diontae Johnson fits he fits with Bryce Young. Throw the ball accurately. I'm gonna get open. Whereas Russell Wilson is chuck it 90 yards and I'm gonna drop it in a bucket and I'll catch it. So I think George Pickens is I don't know if his numbers will be better than last year, but he will definitely have better plays than he did last year, where it's hey, George Pickens just caught like a 50-yard contested catch, and it looked awesome. Don't know how many of those there will be, though, because obviously you have Arthur Smith leading the team, and then just like an awful set of offense. So, it's going to be rough.
Listen,
It's great
I will
news.
say they're playing to their strength of Arthur Smith, which was, hey, man, we have a committee now back there that's kind of like the combined efforts of one Derrick Henry. You did that in 2019 with Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, and then A.J. Brown. Pickens is kind of like A.J. Brown, and Russell is kind of like Ryan Tannehill. Let's see if you can recreate this. So, I mean,
my immediate reaction to this was I was already low on the Steelers going into next year because I thought that they were heavily inflated by lucky wins this year. I mean, they beat the Browns and the Ravens by strip sack touchdowns.
Mike Tomlin would say that's how they like to play games.
Yeah, classic. We need TJ Watt to be a superhero to win. Yes, idiots. Anyways, so I was low on them already, and Russell Wilson being your answer just makes it look even worse. Remember, they were going to do Mason Rudolph before they got Russell Wilson, so it's even worse. All right, so that's enough on Russell Wilson, because obviously he is now a league minimum quarterback, which is hilarious. Other big wide receiver moves in signings. Darnell Mooney, Gabriel Davis signed for $13 million annually apiece, 3 years, $39 million. Darnell Mooney is heading to Atlanta, while Gabriel Davis is heading to Jacksonville. And let me tell you, this is just one of those moves where I think the Jaguars way overpaid for Gabe Davis, who I don't think is a good receiver. I thought he was the fourth best option, despite being treated as the second best in Buffalo, and Buffalo upgraded by not having him anymore. And then Darnell Mooney is just not worth $13 million. There's no way for it. What do you think?
Gabe Davis won. I just don't like Gabe Davis. And Calvin Ridley is like, I think he's posturing like he's thinking about coming back to Jacksonville, but he's likely ending up in New England. So you get a worse version of Calvin Ridley. And I think it still fits them, though. So both of these fit. Would I have paid either of them this much money? No. But if you could get them cheaper, I think they would have fit. They become values. Because Gabe Davis is
It's amazing how the amount of money you pay someone really affects those expectations.
I mean, I would have given that deal to Calvin Ridley in a heartbeat. And if I'm Calvin Ridley, I would have taken that. I'm shocked that they didn't try. Absolutely shocked. Because he's a way more dynamic, better wide receiver than Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is an 8 route. Hey, go run a post and clear out the way for Kirk and Ingram. By the way, everyone was like, forgets about Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram had like a historic season in terms of catches last year. Historic tight end season in terms of catches last year. I think he was like, might have been like top 5 in the last like 4 years for tight end catches. So like, and then
114. Holy crap.
We're talking a ridiculous amount of catches. Now, granted, Christian Kirk missed 5 games to end the season, but Christian Kirk had 800 yards before he got hurt in basically 12 games. The offense runs through the slots. And then if you have a better version of Gabe Davis, a.k.a. Calvin Ridley had the most splashy, like Mike Wallace type of 1,000-yard season you could ever have. He had like 0 and then 150 and then 0 and then 150.
I had him in fantasy. It was painful.
Yeah. But okay, but I'm done with crappy Gabe Davis. Darnell Mooney is a better wide receiver than he gets credit for because he was with the Bears. That being said, is he worth the contract? No. Does he fit perfectly? And I mean perfectly with Atlanta? Yes. They're going to run this offense through Drake London and Bijan Robinson. And a guy that is threatening enough like Darnell Mooney to take the top off and basically hit the splash play. Think like Romeo Doubs in Green Bay, or think maybe even like a Calvin Ridley type. But your main guys are now going to be a 6'4", 225-pound beast at the outside who can run every route on the route tree, and you're obviously going to have the next Christian McCaffrey. I mean, the one guy that I've ever heard, like, I'm bought in on Raheem Morris exclusively because he comes from the Sean McVay system, which says, hey, I'm not going to try and get cute. In my first press conference, I said, you know what excites me about this job? Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. The opposite of the universal moron in Arthur Smith, who was like,
are you telling me
fantasy. Oh, I hate you guys.
Are you telling me that, Jonnu Smith and Scotty Miller and Tyler Algier weren't the best players in
Actually, it was the opposite. He said, I don't care about fantasy football. And I'm like, and everyone in the world is saying, we don't care either. We care about winning games.
What
and
about
like,
real
I'm
football?
going to make it exclusively very hard on myself, but I'm going to act like it wasn't my fault and say Tyler Algier is the best short down yardage back ever, even though that's also false.
The stats don't matter.
Even though the stats do not prove that either. So I think the Mooney is actually a perfect fit. Overpay, yes. Sometimes maybe you got to do that. But you got to remember, too, those guys have a top 7 draft pick. You were thinking about going out and using it on a QB. You don't have to do that anymore. You just lost Jeff Okuda. That's fine. You've got A.J. Terrell. I mean, they can use it on something splashy at the 7.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go on then to the other wide receiver trade. Jerry Jeudy, obviously a big Browns fan, so I care about this a lot. Jerry Jeudy, I thought was like legitimately good. Like he showed great signs 2 years ago. I think he was like the 20th rated PFF receiver and had 9.7 yards per target, nearly 1,000 yards receiving. So I'm super pumped that we gave up a 5th and a 6th. And now, and as you look at these wide receivers go, I mean, would I rather give up a 5th and a 6th for Jeudy, who has, potential and has been like in a crap situation for him, or pay $13 million for Darnell Mooney and Gabe Davis? Like, I feel like Jerry Jeudy's just the obvious answer here. And I'm just happy the Browns, like they gave up a 5th for Amari Cooper off a bad year. And now they give up a 5th and a 6th for Jerry Jeudy. I think it's a fantastic move. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a low risk. The best ones we're going to talk about are low risk, high reward things that are being done. As crazy as it sounds, back to the Russell Wilson thing. I don't think he's going to be good, but they're only paying him $1.2 million on a 1-year deal.
You mean the Broncos? The Broncos are paying him $80 million.
Yeah. So this is the same idea. Jeudy, the vast majority of his contract has already been paid for. He's in, I think, the final year of his rookie deal. He's going to be playing hard. Amari is still being Amari. Amari had a career year last year with all the crap that happened. And I think he adds another dimension. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver. Truthfully, I think he's the 3. It's going to be Amari, Njoku, and then Jeudy. And it should be that way. Elijah Moore still hanging around. You have playmakers. It's hard to take off my fantasy hat, but I think this is a good match for everyone. For the Browns. I still don't like Watson, but again, this is a good match for the Browns. If he's ever going to do anything, ever, it has to happen this year. Plain and simple. They're going to end up with the Russell Wilson contract situation otherwise.
Well, so they just, Jameis Winston just went there. Do you think, so it's a huge debate. Who is the best quarterback to play for the Browns right now? Is it A, Watson, B, Jameis Winston, C, Joe Flacco, D, Shane Falco from The Replacements? I don't know if you've seen that movie. It's a great movie.
Of course.
So, but dude, seriously, the Brown, like my family chat is blowing up saying Flacco's the answer. And obviously, like I talked about it last year, going into the playoffs and everything, Flacco throws Ryan Fitzpatrick balls, and no one, like people who thought he was the answer in New York, ended up eating crow after they wrote him a giant check. So Flacco is not the solution to the problem here, but I do think Jameis is a better version of Flacco and would target the same areas of the field as him. He just couldn't read the field as well, but he does have laser eyes.
He got LASIK.
Yeah. So I'll give my opinion on who I want to start, but you go first. Who do you think is?
It doesn't matter. I mean, this is like such a theoretical, philosophizing question because it doesn't matter who should or who shouldn't start. It's
Okay,
Deshaun Watson because you have basically made your bed with the devil.
Do you think this works for him though? Because in my opinion, he has only ever shown success with like Will Fuller, DeAndre Hopkins. That is like, give me 20-yard outs and like 40-yard bombs.
I mean, okay, Jerry Jeudy's route tree allows him to do all of those routes. So does Amari Cooper.
So that's why. But my point is that's why Njoku wasn't used last year, right? With Watson, so he got with Watson because he works the middle of the field.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think it is Watson. The best person to start is Watson, just based off of 28, 29 years old. The dude, he's happy now. He got paid. We can stop with the garbage. Most of it is settled. If you're gonna do it, you got to do it right now. You have the best set of weapons you've had probably ever, including Houston. So, yeah, you got to go now, and it does match him. As much as we like to say, those are all guys that are not limited by a route tree. Elijah Moore can run every route in the slot. Njoku can run every route out of the tight end. Amari is one of the best. I still, to this day, have said Amari is one of the best route runners in the NFL for over the last 5 or 7 years. The route runners, pure route runners. Jeudy, he's got a couple of issues in terms of like getting separation against man. Okay, fine. He faced a lot of off man in college, and that kind of blew up his stats. In the NFL, they're like, yeah, we're going to press the crap out of you. So you better learn how to run routes. So he's got some crazy upside here. He can be the Will Fuller, maybe.
The problem is he's not that fast.
No, but he's a good route runner.
Almost no one is as fast as Will Fuller.
But it doesn't matter though, because Amari's still going to attract. He just has to win on a second corner. Or a nickel corner.
All right, so with that out the way now, let's get to the contract that everyone cares about. Kirk Cousins. Another $200 million going into his bank account here. This is absolutely insane to me. I don't understand why the Falcons think this is the solution. What do you think?
Because their window is as crazy as it sounds. Their window is, I don't want to say closing, but the window for these contracts is closing. So why do you do this? This is what the Bengals are attempting to do right now, and it's blowing up in their face. They went all in last year. So Bijan's contract is going to come up in 2 years. He's probably got a 4 or 5 year deal. Drake London was before him. So Drake London is in his third year. At 23 years old, Drake London is in his third year of his contract. So that means you get another year of production. So basically, it's really this year, and then maybe next year you got to make a call. And all these guys are going to want to make contract decisions. And then you got Kyle Pitts. Again, another guy that could, if they all do well, will get paid. So this is the time to do that, because over the next 2 years, the problem is going to be what's happening with the Bengals. You got a ton of decisions to make. So in this case, you're paying Kirko right now and saying, please, for the love of donuts, go do ayahuasca in the woods and come back and get your Achilles healed, because we have all of this stuff right now ready to win. LA Rams approach, Cincinnati Bengals approach, so they have to do it right now. Is that the right thing to do? Probably not. But if you get the QB relatively right, they're betting that they have such premium talent everywhere else that they could thread the needle here. Because you got to get the QB right. You got to unlock those guys.
All right, so honest opinion right now. Would you rather have Kirk Cousins or give up a second and like a fifth for Justin Fields?
Kirk Cousins.
For $180 million at 34 years old, without a leg.
So let's play this out. Next year, waste of a year. Justin Fields is gone. You're gonna draft a QB in a crappy draft class, in a lesser draft class. You're gonna restart the QB clock.
So you think Fields would not succeed in this offense?
I wanted Fields there because Arthur Smith was there, and Fields would be fantastic. I think in that seat, Fields should have went to Steelers. They all-time fumbled there, and they went with Russell Wilson. They all-time fumbled there because what does Fields get? Fields gets just as good of a defense that he just came from. That doesn't take 8 games to start. He gets an offense like just absolutely cookie cutter perfect for him, and he gets a George Pickens, a Pat Freiermuth, and 2 great running backs. We hate him, but that's literally what Arthur Smith wants. So they fumbled there. I'm taking the chance with a guy who, if you remember, Matt Stafford went there at what, 32, 33-year-olds to the Rams? First year, unlocked them, won a Super Bowl. That's what they're banking on. They just took their offensive coordinator. I get it. He's not McVay, but he's a McVay disciple. So you better believe it. These contracts, look at the LA Rams now. They'll be barely making it into the playoffs. They'll go 1 or 2 into the playoffs and out, and they're going to ride the coattails of basically that Super Bowl that they won 3 years ago. It's pretty good. I mean, it's fine. People want to do that, but they threaded the needle. And they are just now having a first-round pick this year, and first time in, I think, like 6 or 7 years. First-round pick for the LA Rams this year. So you can limp along, but once you pay that first contract, whoever that is, after the quarterback, then you got to let the other ones go. Because guess what? Bengals now have a problem. They're going to lose T. They had to cut Joe. They lost Boyd. They're going to end up having to pay Chase $1 billion, and 40% of their cap is going to go to Burrow and Chase. At least right now, you've got 3 guys on rookie contracts that are premier talents. One of them could be the best back in the league. That's my opinion. It sucks. I don't want it. I think Atlanta could be in salary cap hell in 3 years and be completely rebuilding.
Yeah,
could very well happen. If the Jets suck this year, they could be the Jets. It's not good.
Yeah, and if they draft Mr. Irrelevant and he's the best and he's a top 15 quarterback, they could go on a tear and almost win the Super Bowl. Can you believe this is?
Don't ever say that, Mr. Statistics Man.
So I'm just saying, just imagine, this is actually what happened to the Niners, right? You overpaid. You paid a lot for Garoppolo. You went all in on a first rounder. And then out of nowhere, the last pick in the draft comes in and solves your quarterback problem for years.
They could have been totally crippled, and they should have been totally crippled, and everybody should have lost their job.
And Sam Darnold should have been their starter. How funny is that? Never forget. Speaking about what he was legitimately, if Brock Purdy, well, would he have been? I don't know. What? I feel like they might have traded for him last year if they didn't have Purdy.
Sam was with the Jets up until last year.
Yeah, I forgot about that, actually. Anyways, moving on. Let's actually talk about Sam Darnold, though, to the Vikings. So as of right now, Cousins is out. Sam Darnold is replacing him. They have the 11th pick in the draft. You know more about this than me. Is JJ McCarthy on the table for them, or
they're wanting to move up and take him? So that's another. So this is what I think. What I think may have, and I don't even think I've heard this on any show yet. But
you heard it here first. That's what Connor's breaking news.
This is a first
inside
hot
sources.
Okay,
actual. This is not. We have no inside sources.
I have no source on this. This is not me on Twitter. This is totally me making it up. If there's anything that happens, there's 2 spots that I could see them going. You have heard that's the Minnesota moving up to 3 with the Patriots has been talked about.
I don't.
But that's not the hot take. let's say they do move out. Let's say Patriots move out, or they do something asinine where they take a non-QB. There's rumblings that they're not going to take a QB, which is crazy. Probably 70% chance they take a QB. But if they don't, and they move out, I think you could see them move up to 3, or they could move up to 7. If J.J. McCarthy is still on the board at 7, you could see them jump from 11 to 7. Got to give up a lot less draft capital to move up from 11 to 7 than 11 to 3. And that's a perfect situation for Atlanta. Think about it. You get to move back to 11. You don't have the QB problem anymore. You now move back to 11. You probably pick up 2, 3 compensatory picks. Probably a couple compensatory picks and picks in this draft. They forfeit. So I could very well see if any of these guys drop.
That would be just beautiful for like Atlanta to take your quarterback and then say, hey, if you want a new one, give us some draft picks. Yeah. Like, and just overcharge
that would be
him.
Poetic justice, because they got to move up from 11 to probably at the very least 7. Who's at 5? Chargers are at 5. They're not taking one. So let's just play this out. Cardinals clearly aren't taking one at 4. 1, 2, 3
pull up NFL draft order.
Yeah. So right now it's off the top of my head. Bears, Caleb, Commanders.
Hey, Connor, I gotta take care of a baby. I'll be right back.
All right.
I am dead serious right now. She woke up because she farted.
That's a baby.
She had gas. I picked her up and she just like ripped it. And then she's like, I'm good. I can go back to sleep now.
That's awesome. Good for her. She's like a dude.
Yep. Oh, man. Anyways.
You'll have to cut that.
I'm going to cut the giant middle. Don't worry. I can do that. It's easy. What were we talking about?
1 through 7. Okay. So first 3 off the board. Okay. Bears take Williams. I'm agnostic to whatever the Commanders do. They're going to take either May or Daniels. Betting Vegas says Daniels as of today.
The Mariota signing influences that a lot.
Yeah. 3. I still think they take a quarterback, okay? I still think at 3, the Patriots cannot pass up another quarterback. It may be a Belichick special where they want to trade. I don't know. I hope Mayo's smarter than that. But take the quarterback, May or Daniels. Supposedly they're higher on May and they don't like Daniels. Maybe it's because it's Boston and history's there and they're all racist. I don't know. But I'm saying take the quarterback. But if they don't, somebody swoops in and takes either May or Daniels. Fine. McCarthy's not going to the Chargers. McCarthy's probably not going to the Giants at 6. By the way, I'm doing this from memory because I'm a genius. He's definitely not going to Atlanta anymore. There's no threat there. So Tennessee. Maybe they don't need to move up. But I don't know who's at 9, 10, 9 and 10.
So you got to worry about the Titans. You don't have to worry about the Bears pick 2. Jets is the only other one.
So maybe you may be able to hold out at 11 and get McCarthy. I have a feeling, though, somebody is going to make them move up. I just have a feeling somebody else.
Rumors I've heard around McCarthy are... Oh, go ahead.
Denver wants to sneak up. Supposedly, Peyton is like in love with McCarthy. So you could see them going from whatever they are. I think they're 12 or 15 all the way up. They could be somebody that comes in at 3 or 7.
They do not have a quarterback at the moment.
They don't have a quarterback.
Jarrett Stidham.
So you got to be wary. If you're Minnesota, you better figure it out. You know what? I just thought about that, actually. I have Jimmy Garoppolo on my fantasy dynasty team.
Yeah.
He could end up in Denver.
That'd be so bad.
It's so bad, but I need it to happen. But I don't know, man. I don't know. You have 2 guys that are in the 12 to 15 that have to move up. Whoever flinches first.
I've heard nothing but amazing things about McCarthy, and it's the whole, like, everyone's like, well, he didn't throw the ball much because everyone else runs an air raid or some pass heavy scheme in college now, and they're like, oh, he ran a real offense, so you don't even know how
I
good he
wouldn't
could
call
be.
it real offense. Like, listen, he ran basically a Greg Roman offense where they they beat the Penn State Nittany Lions by throwing 0 passes in the second half. 0. 0. So
I'm so curious how that dynamic fits going forward. Anyways,
it's because he's got a rocket launcher for an arm and he's relatively accurate and he's sneaky athletic, but you just have, and he started for 2.5 years. So he's played a lot of games. He's got an athletic profile, and they're projecting ceiling just based off of, hey, dude, you got great ball placement. You got heck of an arm. You're relatively accurate. The only thing is we have no idea if you can pick up an NFL offense fast enough. We think you can. Supposedly he's smart. Comes from a smart family. But no idea whether or not you can pick it up and read defenses that fast because he never had to.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
So,
all right, let's go on then. Last 2 guys that are actually going to be starters likely. So first of all, Baker Mayfield signs a 3-year, $115 million deal. And obviously everyone knows my stance on Baker. I thought he was undervalued in Tampa Bay last year. He's a solid quarterback.
now
I think that now they wrote him a check for $120 million, and I think he's overvalued. It's the Geno Smith syndrome. He's never going to be good enough to lead you past the divisional round. You're going to be disappointed. And the only reason you do this is because you're like, I don't want to have to deal with a quarterback situation. But Tampa Bay's like old, like they're just in a terrible spot. They're like old and built to win now, but they're not. They're nowhere near good enough to win now. So it seems like they're just going to be happy to float at 8-9 or 9-8 for the next 2 or 3 years.
The NFC South, man. The NFC South by itself is like just
well, Kirk Cousins is there now.
Okay, fine. They should steamroll the entire division, period. But another thing, again, what happened? What happened to Seattle this year? Seattle says, hey, man, Dave Canales, you get to go be the offensive coordinator at the Bucs. What did Geno do this year? Crap the bed. Dave Canales, Tampa. Hey, Baker, you're really good now. Dave Canales, you're the head coach of the Panthers now. What do we think is going to happen? I mean, this is Jalen Hurts regressed this year with losing his coordinator. Baker regressed. Baker's set to regress. Geno did regress. Like, guys, this is not rocket science.
Every Browns fan has seen the stages of Baker Mayfield. Like, it's like underdog, plays well, everyone loves him, gets too cocky, sucks. And right now he's in the transition of gets too cocky, right? So
yeah, sucks, gets traded or released, gets picked up on a friendly contract.
Sucks is the next spot. And then lastly, the quarterback deal. Gardner Minshew is heading to the Raiders to lead.
Oh, that's right. He did go there. He did.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he is the embodiment of like Antonio Pierce. It's like you're not really that of what the Raiders were last year underneath Antonio Pierce. So let's say that. You're not very good. You're gonna play your butt off, and you're gonna win way more games than expected. Look at that, Gardner Minshew. Pencil him in until they find their long-term answer. So I love Gardner Minshew here. I feel so bad for Davante Adams. They need to let him go. That is. It's killing me. They got to get rid of that guy.
Just a weird... Man, that's another organization that's just in a weird spot. I don't even know what you do. Just put their side-by-sides of every first-round pick that John Gruden made since he went back. None of them are in the league. Cleveland Farrell just ended up signing with the Commanders today on a cheap deal. Everyone else is out of the league, literally out of the league. I mean, it's since 2016. Their first round picks have been still in the NFL. It has been abysmal. They have not hit on one single one. So you sign Jacoby Myers. He's fine. It's not great, but he's fine. He's good. I think he's an undervalued wide receiver. You have Davante Adams. don't know how that dude is not clamoring for a trade right now.
Dude, they've shut it down like 3 times. He's like, get me out, and they're like, nope, you're stuck. We're here to win.
I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to make of the Raiders. Gardner Minshew's not going to fix it. So everyone in the world knows that.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
It's just a bad situation, and like they seem like a team that's praying to win 6 to 8 games next year. And
by the way, that's right. You play with Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes in your division. That's good.
And maybe JJ McCarthy.
Well, hopefully somebody's got to move up and get him. Vikings, maybe. Dude, the craziest thing, man. Fields to Minnesota. That could be wild. Justin Jefferson was on Twitter
there is
today
no way
making a video about how they should go out and get Justin Fields.
There is no way the Bears run that risk. That like you can't say I'm going to give my rival their franchise quarterback. There's no way you can say that.
They just stole Aaron Jones.
Hey, you know what? And they know what they're doing. They're going to use Aaron Jones against his former team. They don't want to be the one like the Bears. The Bears can't be that. Actually, it's the Bears. They can be that.
It's the Bears. Okay, it does. All right, but think about it. If you're already going to move on from him, he's not going to be a backup. He'll request a trade and just sit. And his deal on a cap hit is about the same as a Sam Darnold or a Gardner Minshew or a Drew Lock. All of those guys who got signed today, they're all in the same realm.
I mean, you have the 1-year tag.
Yeah.
And then
you got to pay him. So you have 2 years if you want him. First year is $8 million or whatever it is, the rest of his contract. If you like him but you don't love him, you tag him. You get 2 years out of him. 2 years. By the way, 2 years at $20 million is obviously peanuts if Kirk Bangs is out there getting friggin' $180 million. So, yeah. I think you take the risk.
I'm in on taking the risk. Like I said, I would have rather had him in Atlanta, but that's a personal thing. But anyways,
that's to get him with Farty Smith. Okay, that was the.
I just want him with younger people that are dynamically athletic. Like I want the Falcons to walk on the field and just be like, our offense is literally super athletes, and instead they got Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins is the facilitator.
He's the one that keeps up. Yeah.
Achilles.
All right, so let's go on, and we were just picking on the Raiders, so let's do it again. They let Josh Jacobs walk, which I don't think is actually a bad move, but then he goes over to the Packers, signs on paper a 4-year, $48 million deal, which turns out to be a glorified franchise tag, in my opinion, because it's like $13 million per year, and the Packers have the right to cut him at the end of every year. So
yeah, it's weird.
I think this is a terrible move. I would rather have Aaron Jones and a compliment back for $12 million than Josh Jacobs, but that's me. What do you think?
I mean, I like Jacobs. I think this is a fine move. But this is a nothing move to me. He is going to give you the same exact value as Aaron Jones would if you just restructured his contract. Sure, he's got a big cap hit or had a big cap hit for a running back. But what they asked him to do, I guess, was they went from, you know how we were just talking about contracts being backloaded, where if they do actually hold them against the cap, it's a pretty large hit. I think it was like 12, 13, $14 million. And they asked him to convert and cut his own pay to like 4. Okay, not going to happen. If you had asked him to maybe go to like 7, like what he got in Minnesota, and then you just convert the rest to a signing bonus, do that. Instead, they went out and paid Josh Jacobs. The only thing is he's younger, but he has a 3-down profile, if you will. Jones, I guess, was hurt a lot last year. Fine. But, like, the dude was productive when he was healthy. And his profile just ages better. I mean, Derrick Henry is an outlier. Jones is more of what you would consider aging in the same vein as CMC. Less hits in between the tackles. Not clean hits. Gets outside. Yeah, he got hurt, but this is a nothing burger to me. trading Aaron Jones for Josh Jacobs is meh. I mean, okay.
All right, so let's continue to go down the meh well, where the Titans went and they got Tony Pollard to replace Derrick Henry. And it turns out they went from a thunder and lightning combo with Tajay Spears and Derrick Henry to a lightning and lightning combo with Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard. I don't understand this move at all whatsoever. It's like Tony Pollard has a lot of fits. Tennessee was not one of them, in my opinion.
This is a C- move for Brian Callahan's first free agent signing. So, I don't understand why you didn't just wait a week. No, not even a week. 2 days. And let your old team, the Bengals, cut Joe Mixon. And then you go, oh, we'll give you not even cut him. They were going to cut him. And then the Texans got him and said, yeah, we'll give you a 7th. Joe Mixon for a 7th, Brian Callahan? Probably would have been smarter than Tony Broken Pollard at... Joe Mixon's 1 year older than Tony Pollard. One. He's 27.
Which is crazy.
Pollard's 26. This is a bad move. This is not a good grade.
All right, so we're going to keep going down the garbage grades. We will get to the last couple that I think are good deals. But we're just going to keep laughing. DeAndre Swift, $24 million over to the Bears. Now, let me say...
failing upwards.
Do you remember when we said last year Jahmyr Gibbs was not a great move for the Lions? Because it was... Well, I mean, I still don't think he was worth like a top 15 pick when you had DeAndre Swift, who you gave up for what was it, like a next year's 4th rounder. Yeah. And then... immediately he becomes worth $24 million as a running back, right? Like, he was a top 10 rusher. I think he collapsed.
Why contract years matter, man.
No, I know. It's just it's like so funny to me that like, I think we were right that Swift, like the difference between Gibbs and Swift wasn't as far as people perceive.
In a healthy year, yeah, it's relatively close.
Yeah, and so like that's the main thing we clapped at. And now he walks away and goes to the Bears to be part of like a 3-headed monster with Rashawn Johnson, Khalil Herbert, DeAndre Swift.
Technically he's going to be the lead.
Yeah. The only reason I can't say this move is better than the Titans one is because the Bears quarterback will guaranteed to be on a cheap deal, right? Because they're going to get Caleb Williams. So that he's going to be on a rookie deal, so you can overpay a running back compared to the Titans.
Oh yeah,
who could still have Ryan Tannehill being overpaid, and you're just
wasting
money.
This is I want to call it the opposite of Atlanta, but you just have different structure, right? But what we're talking about is in the same vein, taking advantage of rookie deals. So you have 3 rookie deals in Atlanta that you can take advantage of that you already kind of get a glimpse of what they're going to be and the potential that they have. And we're talking 3 guys that we're not talking like are going to be fringe players. These are 3 guys that are Pro Bowl level players that you just needed to unlock, but you get them all on rookie deals. Same exact thing. You take Justin Fields out, you put in another rookie deal. Yeah, it's relatively high for the salary cap, but in terms of quarterback pay, it's peanuts. So you go out, you take a jump, and by the way, you can guarantee there's some incentives to get out of year 2 for DeAndre Swift. You know it. That's how those things work.
You know what's funny? I just remember this. This is literally the Miles Sanders deal from last year.
Miles Sanders, 3 years, $25 million, and he's going to be out after year 2. And by the way, he got benched, and Chuba is now the no-named starter already. So
yep. After Chuba had a very disappointing rookie season, filling in where they had to replace Chuba with Donta Foreman.
Yeah, Chuba didn't have a great year this year, but that whole offense didn't. But
so that's different. Pass. So it's just hilarious that Miles Sanders got tossed aside.
With the Gibbs Swift thing, and man, I still marginally, what could you have done there? You can say whatever you want about like the actual value. I stand by that. Mm-hmm. Swift still there produces a very similar line, period. Because you're projecting a healthy up. People want to use hindsight as 2020 because yes, Gibbs is a freak athlete. We also, by the way, said Gibbs is an unbelievable athlete and an unbelievable talent. Yeah. So it's not like we said, "Oh, he's terrible." we're talking about relativity here.
Yeah, we're talking Jack compared Campbell, to DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift. He is not a monster athlete relative to Swift.
DeAndre Swift was a freak athlete coming out of college too, at 220 pounds, not 199.
Yeah, and the only reason they got rid of Swift is because he couldn't stay upright, which he ended up doing in the lead back role last year.
So we're talking about two theoretical things that hadn't happened before.
All right, and now I'm just going to laugh at this one. Devin Singletary is officially the new Saquon Barkley. He's going to get 30 carries a game for 60 yards. Just a terrible, overpaid for a guy who had a great year, ended with a great year last year. But I really don't think he is worth this deal. This reminds me of a Jamal Williams move.
They'll end up taking a running back. They're going to take. Yep. They're going to take a running back early in the draft, even though this is a bad draft for running backs. They're going to take one. You got Eric Gray, who you drafted relatively mid-round pick last year. Let's see what you got. This is going to be an RBBC all day. And what's his name? Singletary's going to get the first crack at it, but this is kind of a nothing burger too. People don't trade for him in fantasy. Please, Lord Jesus, if you do anything, don't trade for him.
Numbers will be better last year with the Texans than they will be this year with the Giants.
Absolutely.
Bad. All right, so now let's go on. We are done with the garbage, and let's get into things that are actually going to be fun and exciting to watch. Now, Saquon Barkley, 3 years, $38 million, the big splash move by the Eagles. I personally don't think this is an A move. It's probably closer to a B- move in my opinion. However, I am still very excited to see how this plays out. What is your thoughts?
What are your thoughts? This is Atlanta light because they are trying to capitalize on a window. Devontae's still on a rookie deal. You paid Goddard. You paid Hurts. You paid Brown.
Brown is technically cheap right now. I think they got him at $20 million a year when wide top.
$20 million, $100 million deal, but it was 4 years, $100 million.
Yeah.
And you have cap space to do this right now, and you still have the relative offensive pieces that were there. You're now doing the exact same thing that Atlanta's doing. Is you're saying we got 1 year max. You lost your center, your Hall of Fame center, fine. But you gained Kellen Moore as an offensive coordinator. You're not going to throw screens every Brian Johnson 2 seconds. You're just not doing that. You're going to Kellen Moore will use, the guys effectively. All 4 of those guys that I just mentioned effectively. But Jalen Hurts is getting paid $1 billion. So if you're going to swing for the fences, because guess what? Saquon's got about 2 years left, just historically. So 2 years of high play left. You might as well try. Because guess what? Sirianni's going to be out in 2 years too if he doesn't figure it out. Next year, probably. So
I just, as a team that has historically found so much value in not paying running backs, remember they got LeGarrette Blount when he was cheap, and he was part of that. I think he was part of the Super Bowl run. I can't remember if he was. Yeah. But DeAndre Swift was the sneaky move they took last year. They took a flyer on Rashad Penny for dirt cheap, even though it didn't work out. But that's been their move the whole time. And now I'm just surprised that they immediately pivot off of it and go to throwing money around to start free agency like this. So. Especially when Aaron Jones, I would have loved Aaron Jones on the Eagles. He was available 6 hours after this happened.
You didn't mention another garbage one though. The New England Patriots paid James Robinson last year 2 years, $8 million, and then he didn't even make the roster. They paid Antonio Gibson 2 years, $15 million today with $8 million guaranteed.
About that one.
I don't know. I'm shocked you forgot about that one because it's relatively the same deal as James Robinson. They just had more guaranteed money, and you already have a very productive back in Ramondre Stevenson on a rookie deal. So, and guess what? You got Brown's former offensive coordinator. who is probably going to use Ramondre as Nick Chubb and attempt to use Gibson as Kareem Hunt. Like, I still want the Ramondre version. I don't want the Kareem Hunt version. I'd rather have Ramondre. So
yeah, I want like a 70-30 split, and you decide.
I think that's going to happen. I think that's the smartest thing. But that also makes me think that they are dumb enough to not take a quarterback at 3. Jared Mayo did not do well.
Here we go. So now the actually, whoever replaced Bill Belichick isn't doing well. That's so funny. Whoever replaced him as GM, that's the problem.
They did another stupid thing. Just for laughs, Kendrick Bourne, 3 years, $33 million, after giving Juju Smith-Schuster the exact same deal, both of them, Juju and Devontae, 3 years, $33 million. Almost, for some reason, that's their number. 3 years, $33 million for three wide receivers that are going to not even be in the league next year, guaranteed.
So bad,
it's insane.
Yeah. Anyways, the most exciting deal probably of the offseason, Derrick Henry. Going over to the Ravens, and I just think this running offense is going to be it's going to be fun to watch. The read option of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson with how good they can block and, misdirect up front is just going to be exciting. And as a Browns fan, it sucks. As a football fan, it's going to be fun. I don't know statistically if they're going to blow people away, but I think this is actually going to be a big difference maker in games that matter. So, whenever they play the Bengals and the Browns and the Chiefs and stuff like that. It's just
interesting because Todd Monken introduced a little bit more of an air raid type of system here, or a pass heavier approach than Greg Roman, and yet now we're kind of reverting back. You're implying that you're somewhat reverting back, because think about it. Oof. Derrick Henry catches like 2 passes a game, and there's screens like that go for like 60 yards, and you're like, huh, okay, that does not match with what he had been doing. Like Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell, those are going to be your guys that at least run the air raid that Todd Monken wants. So. Other than that, this is going to be just fine. It's going to be smash and grab, which is surprisingly, again, why Todd Monken wants to do.
Dude, I am just like Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, Derrick Henry. Those are huge bodies. And then Lamar Jackson, that is a play action nightmare. You can line up and have 2 great pass catching options in addition to 2 great running options available. So I'm curious what comes out of that offense. It's definitely something that you need some creativity for, but something that can cause nightmares.
Dude, OBJ, he's a free agent. He got paid $20,000 a catch last year.
All right, let's head over to the Commanders. I'm just bringing it up that Austin Eckler is going there. I wish Austin Eckler got a better job. I wish, for this contract, I think he would have been a great fit on the Browns. And I don't know why the Browns didn't call, but instead he's in Washington with whatever
they're doing.
whatever nightmare, RIP Terry McLaurin to the Hall of Fame because he's on the Commanders, and RIP to the rest of Austin Eckler's career. That's just so poorly run, and I don't care if Magic Johnson's now the owner and Bob Myers of the Golden State Warriors is helping them make executive decisions or whatever the garbage is they're pulling. It's a mess.
Terry McLaurin is going to end up like Andre Johnson light, where Andre Johnson just had to deal with just awful. Andre Johnson, I'm pretty sure, I don't even think he made it on first ballot. Did he make it on the first ballot? If he did, he barely did.
I don't think he did.
And it's almost exclusively because he doesn't have the stats because his quarterbacks suck. That's going to be
it's like the years he had mildly good quarterback play, he was putting up 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
For a team that threw for 3,000 yards.
Yeah.
All right, so now here's one that's these are 2 that are gonna hit close to home. So Zach Moss, literally down the street not living down the street from me, but I'm in Cincinnati. You're a big Bengals fan. How do you feel about going over to Zach
It's
Moss?
good value. It's good value. I wouldn't. Literally, it's a mirror image of the James Robinson deal that got done last year. That it gives you like, hey, if this dude performs in camp and does the exact same thing, keep him and ride him. If he doesn't, he's cuttable. He's only guaranteed $4 million. Cut him. Like, it's not a big deal. So you got another running back that flashed, Chase Brown, last year for the Bengals. Much better athlete, much better athletic profile. It's kind of a nothing burger, but
I like it. I like getting that bruiser side into the locker room, like, because you lost Mixon, so you lost your goal line back, and I don't think Chase Brown should do that just based on his frame, but we'll see. And then lastly, the guy I think could be a great fantasy steal is Gus Edwards. I'm sure everyone thinks that now, but like, my fear for fantasy wise is that Harbaugh and Greg Roman will convert this offense into something that's like what we saw from Michigan, where they're like, hey, we're Michigan football. We are a million times better than you, and we beat you 30-10. Like, every other team is blowing teams out 60-0, and Michigan's like, we're good. We're just gonna go home. So I think fantasy-wise, Harbaugh is like the worst thing to happen to the Chargers. However, now Edwards is like he comes from Greg Roman. They played together in Baltimore. So yep. I think he's gonna come out and be that guy who falls in the end zone nonstop for a Harbaugh team, and reminds me kind of like a late career Frank Gore move, where it's like, hey, that Frank Gore was with Harbaugh in San Fran. That's why I mention it. Where it's like, he's just going to be my guy that gets the volume and does the dirty work, and we're going to move on.
I think they'll end up drafting someone to complement him. There's no doubt. Either draft, or they've got like a couple of guys that have been there. They've drafted relatively high. Isaiah Spiller being the main one from 2 years ago. And then they used Josh Kelly.
Yeah, Josh Kelly, that's what I was thinking of. So Justin Jackson was the other guy from years ago, but he's not there anymore.
Relatively athletic. Gus is a large human. I don't think people realize how big Gus is. I think his profile is 6'2", 235. He's a big boy. He's a big boy. He moves better to me than Derrick Henry does, but Derrick Henry is just a freak.
You know what's funny? Like
I'm really good at memorizing this stuff.
Well, he's 238, so yes, very impressive. But they don't list his height. Like, why on the Wikipedia page is it not like right next to the weight?
Like everything else.
Yeah.
So
6'1", 235. Look at you.
I mean, I've always kind of been a secret Gus Bus fan. He just runs hard, and I think he's got a little bit more shake than Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry just has that premier, like, long track speed. If he gets out, he's gone.
And then he also has, like, he's 4 inches taller, 60 pounds heavier, and like his stiff arm just is
but he can't move like laterally, like, at all.
No.
At all.
Well, I'm never gonna forget that Dion Lewis was the starter over him for like 8 or like 10 games until they were finally like punting on the year, and then they're like, Derrick Henry, let's see what you can do on Thursday Night Football, and he went for like 200 yards and 4 touchdowns against the Jags.
Dion Lewis, what a beast. Hey, Deuce
Old
Vaughn, starting running back for the Dallas Cowboys next year. 5'6", 172 pounds.
They're gonna draft someone. No, they're gonna get Zeke back. Come on.
Hey, right now, Fantasy Twitter is blowing it up, just showing babies rolling out there and putting Deuce Vaughn out in huddles right now.
What about Rico Dowdle? Like, I feel like Dowdle's
he's a free agent. They'll have to re-sign him, which they probably will. Though. By the way, Jerry Jones came out and said, all in ... except the Derrick Henry price is too steep, and who else was too steep? somebody else who got a 2-year deal was too steep. Somebody
like
we already talked
these
about.
tiny little $8 million deals that mean nothing.
And I'm like, what? Did you seriously just say a $15 million deal with only $9 million guaranteed to Derrick Henry is too steep? Are you you kidding me?
That's what happens when you play Michael Gallup and just stand there and do nothing for the most part.
Dude, Jerry is a moron. I cannot.
Is he a moron or is he just old and losing it a little?
Dude, who was it? I gotta find. There was 2 deals that happened today that were like cheap values that we just talked about. One of them, the Derrick Henry deal. What was the other one that was like relatively good? It was like a 2-year old guy, probably 2 years and something. Maybe it was Gus. I mean, again, Jerry, are you kidding me? You had a slam dunk.
Just remember, they're paying Brandon Cooks $20 million this year.
And Dak wants a raise again.
And Michael Gallup's still making $11 million, $12 million.
They're trying to trade him. He's going to be a post cut. He's going to be a post June cut. Probably.
Yeah, this is just one of the you look at this team and you look at some of the contracts, and it's like
they're the Panthers with deeper pockets.
Yeah, they are just lucky that they smacked home runs on Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb, and that's what's made you draft 2 All-Pros like that. It makes a difference, right?
By the way, CeeDee wasn't until 5 games into this year.
And will he be next year? Find out at some other point this offseason. All right, that's all. We've talked way too much. That's over an hour. We nailed it. Thank God Ken and Anthony weren't here because we would have had to split up between running backs and non-running backs or something. But you heard it here first. JJ McCarthy's going to be a Bronco, and I don't even know some of the other things we said that were spicy takes. It's bedtime. Sorry about my baby. Oh, actually, it's less than an hour because I'm clipping the part about my baby. Look at that.
Yeah, nailed it.
All right. Connor, tell Basha I said thank you for letting you do this.
She's downstairs. She's doing stuff.
All right. I'll see you.
All right. See you, dude.